Hello class, this is Dr. Fenton. In this video, I'm going to show you how to work part of project number 1. I'm not going to show you the entire thing, I'll show you some of the steps, but this will be enough to get you started and well underway for project number 1. Okay, what I have here is the Excel spreadsheet that you should have open on your computer. This is what I listed in Canvas. And I have it's just a few of these columns are, the rows filled out in these columns for some of these items. Now what you want to do is for each account that you have here, you need to identify manually where what type of accounts these are. So you can see I've done it for cash already. So cash is a number 1 account. Well, the number 1 comes from over here. So here are the account types. So if you decide that cash is an asset account, you'll put the number 1 here. And then if you decide accounts receivable is an asset account, you'll place the number 1 here also. Again, it comes from right here. Do that for all these accounts down through here. And watch out for where you switch from asset accounts to liability accounts. So I went on down the liabilities, and just to show you that if you decide income tax payable or any of these payable accounts are liability accounts, you'll put the code number 2 here, because 2 identifies this as a liability account. So do that, and then when you get to your stockholders' equity accounts, put the number 3 here. I've showed you how to do that for preferred stock. Number 3, stockholders' equity. Dividends, we have dividends here. That is a separate type of account. You'll use number 4 for your dividend accounts. Let me scroll down a little bit. And then for your revenue accounts, you'll need to find out, well, what type of account do I have? So if you find a revenue account down here, which you will, use code number 5. Drop it in here. Expense accounts will be code number 6. Let me scroll down. So your expense accounts, you'll use code number 6. So what you'll do is manually type these in. So if you think this should be a number 1, you put this here. If you think this is number 1, keep going. Let me drop that in. If you think dividends payable is a liability, put number 2 in here. If you think additional paid in capital is a stockholders' equity account, you'll put the number 3. Again, using all these codes for the type of account. Do the same thing for a revenue account. A revenue account would be what? Number 5. So we'd go in here. Expense account would be a type of account number 6. Again, right here. So you'll need to fill out all these rows from row number 2 down through row number 58 and identify what type of accounts are these. Well, it'll either be an asset, a liability, stockholders' equity, a dividend, a revenue, or an expense. So use 1 through 6 in this column. Now for the financial statement code, you'll use here. You need to identify now, where do these accounts show up in the financial statements? So if cash shows up in the balance sheet, you'll use code number 7 and drop it in here like I've already done for you. Same with accounts receivable. If you determine that supplies is an account that shows up in the balance sheet, you'll put the number 7 right here for supplies. Do the same thing for all of your asset accounts, or your balance sheet accounts, asset, liabilities, and stockholders' equity. Put the code 7 here. Any income statement accounts will use code number 8. You probably would think that the revenue account would be an income statement account. You probably would think an expense would be an income statement account. So use the number 8 for your income statement accounts and number 9 for your statement of change in stockholders' equity. You can see I abbreviated this title here. I've explained this here just to make it look good when we finally fill it out right here. So anything that's going to be a statement of change in stockholders' equity account, use number 9. I've already done that for cash dividends. That's the only place this account shows up in these 3 statements. So now you'll fill out all these numbers here for rows, again, 2 through 58, identifying which statements these accounts will appear in. So you fill this out for the type of account. You'll fill this column out for the type of statement where it appears. Now the next step is now to put the actual name of the account type right here in all these rows down through here. And what we're going to do is use something called the Vlookup function in Excel. Let me show you how to do it on the first one. I'll let you do it yourself in this column. So you have this highlighted. You will hit equal, start typing Vlookup, and what you can do, since it appears here, you can type it on out if you want to. I'm going to double click, and it spells it out for you and even opens up the parentheses. Now, you can read what it needs within the parentheses. So what the first one is, we want to find out, well, what are we looking up? We're going to look up what is in this column right here, that cell, B2. So what we're going to do is say, okay, whatever's in B2, we want you to find out what code it matches and take that account type name and enter it in this cell. So we're going to be looking from B2. And now we need to look at the table array, as they call it. So we're going to put a comma here, and then we're going to say this is the table right here. So whatever number you have in this column, you want to find that number in this table and then enter the account type. And Excel will do this for you automatically. All right. So what we've done, we've identified this little table here, the code and the account type. Don't make this array any larger, this table array any larger. It's just 2 columns and just these rows. Now, while we're right here, a quick way to lock this in, because we don't want to be having the cells move around when it's trying to look up the information here, hit the F4 key just once. If you notice what it did, it put $signs in front of all these items here, in front of the G, 4, and H, and 9. It's locking in this, what they call table array. So it'll always look up the code in these cells and then enter the account type name that are in these cells. So we've locked that in. Now we need another column. The next thing is, it says column index number. Well, number. Really want a name here. So we're going to put, from this array table, column 1, column 2, we want it to enter whatever's in column 2. So again, column 1, column 2, we want the name from column 2, just hit the number 2, that's it. Put a comma, and then we want to type in false, and they give you the option here, because we want the exact match. We want, the exact match of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So you can double click here if you want to, and then that's it. Just close out the parentheses, enter, and you can see we now have the account type asset right here. What Excel does with this formula, it says, okay, I'm going to look up this number 1 over in this table. I found it here, and then I'm going to place into this cell this title. Now, once you do this, the rest of this column is easy. Grab this, bring it all the way down, all the way to the end right here, and then let go, and it'll fill that out for you. Now, the reason a lot of these are NA is because we haven't filled it out yet. Now, if you put prepaid rent here, if this had a 1, let me show you, it would show it's an asset. Where you have the 2, liabilities, 3, stockholders' equity. So it'll look for whatever's in this column and then place the name in this column. All right, do the same thing here. I'm going to let you use the VLOOKUP here. Here is your table array, though, right there. Don't grab 3 columns here. No, you just need 2 columns here. The code and the account name, and use my abbreviated name for statement of change in stockholders' equity. So what you'll do, you'll be looking up whatever is in this column over here, and then have Excel place into this column the name of that statement. Okay, so use the VLOOKUP. It'll look similar to this, but you'll have, of course, different items in here. So just go through the same steps and you'll have it. Now, the chart of accounts in the next tab, I want you to enter under each of these categories what they represent. So I want you to list all the asset accounts under here, all the liabilities, stockholders' equity, and of course the others. Now I want you to use cell reference. Don't manually type this. Use cell reference. put equal, and then let's go back to here under this tab under accounts, cash, hit enter, and it brings cash over. And then you could do that for each one manually. I'll show you a shortcut in just a second. You could again equal here, bring the accounts receivable over, hit enter. Now the quick way to do this is, let me take this out, start again, go to this one, equal, go to the accounts here, go ahead and highlight all of your asset accounts, right? And let me just show you, in this column all your assets will be identified. So you can go down and watch this, but bring all this down to wherever you think the assets are, okay, and then hit enter, and there they are. Do the same thing for liabilities, stockholders' equity accounts. So I'll let you do the rest of it yourself, but you can do it fairly easy. You don't have to do a cell reference for each separate cell, and you don't have to manually type this. In fact, don't manually type this. Okay, so when you're finished, all these will be populated with the account names that are in each of these categories, and then you will have completed all the numbers in this column manually. You will do this manually. But then you'll have the Vlookup function enter the title from this, what they call table array in this column, and you're going to have a Vlookup here in all these columns, and then all these statement names will be populated down through here. All right, so that's a quick overview. You can do the rest of it yourself, and as always, good luck with your studies.